Today, we're going to go over 9 new moon in Aquarius 2021 facts. Make sure you stay until the end because you may be surprised. When it comes to astrology, the sun gets a lot of love, but we often overlook the fact that the moon has a tangible effect on plenty of significant things here on Earth. For instance, the moon controls the tides of the ocean, affects the life cycle and behavior of many different animals, and even influences the stability of the Earth's rotation around the sun. And well, if the gravitational pull of the moon is powerful enough to affect the ocean and the Earth's axis, it doesn't feel too far-fetched to believe that it could influence us, humans, too. However, is this true for every lunar phase? Shouldn't each phase have a distinct impact? Well, you're right. That is why today we'll be talking about the 9 significant changes brought about by the very first phase of the moon, the new moon. Make sure you stay until the end because you may be surprised. Now, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Number 9, new moon and introspection. According to astrology, new moons are times of natural introspection, during which we are inclined to retreat into our emotions and reflect on our feelings. That is because during the moon isn't visible in the sky and there's no light, which means the energy available to us is very low. In fact, people often report feeling tired in a new moon and naturally crave turning inward. So, if you're looking to make a fresh start, the new moon is a great time to think about what you want in your life and set intentions to get it. A few examples: making more money, starting a new relationship, or improving an old one, or bringing a gust of energy into work matters. Now's the time to visualize what we want to achieve, whether in the pages of a diary or a vision board. Number 8, new moon and regeneration. Believe it or not, the new moon is the time to rest. The flashlight is out and you will have to recharge in the dark until the lights turn all the way on by full moon time. You'll have the opportunity to use this battery for the rest of the month, and it will manifest something that is constantly on your mind. So yes, make sure you are sending out the energy you want to seed during the dark new moon phase. Number 7, new moon and mood. Humans are made up of around 60% water. When the water element within us rises and ebbs, so too do our emotions. With heightened water elements during a full moon, we can begin to experience heavily flowing thoughts and thus more worry and fear. So yes, a full moon can bring everything to the surface. But on the other hand, a new moon causes us to be more reflective and calm, part of which is because of the amount of light in the night sky. Yes, you heard it right. Historically, a full moon was an opportunity to participate in outdoor activities after nightfall, as the large moon provided tons of light. Even to this day, the moonlight stimulates us to go outside and be active. However, the new moon is when the moon is not visible in the night sky. This means historically it was a time to stay indoors. To this day, it evokes a reflective feeling, a time to retreat to our homes for a relaxing evening of meditation and broadening our intuition. Number 6, new moon and restlessness. Pre-electricity, it makes sense that the nights surrounding the full moon would be a more active period since people would be able to enjoy more visibility at night. However, research suggests that this may still be the case in modern times. Well, yes. A 2013 study published in Current Biology found that sleep can be significantly affected by lunar phases. Participants in the study experienced sleep disruptions and spent less time in the deepest phase of sleep during a full moon. They also slept less and reported having the lowest quality of sleep during those times, despite being kept in a controlled environment in which they didn't know what time it was. While the researchers didn't conclude as to why that is, the deduction is that our biological rhythms are linked to the lunar phases. So, if their sleep could be disrupted by the full moon, it only makes sense we could be affected by the new moon as well. But would it be restless sleep like with the full moon, or better sleep? Now, as noted earlier, people tend to feel low energy during a new moon. That may make you feel tired, but on the other hand, the emotional uprising during this lunar phase may fill your mind with racing thoughts, also leading you to unfulfilled sleep and sensations of restlessness. So your best bet during both lunar phases, embrace the chaos. Number 5, new moon and menstrual cycle. Do women have a biological connection to the moon? Now, this is really a highly debated subject, but while this can't exactly be proved, we can see some interesting parallels in how our menstrual cycle or moon time mirrors the lunar cycle. For instance, a full lunar cycle lasts from one new moon to the next and takes 29.5 days. The average menstrual cycle is also around 28 to 29 days long. Well, that's some amazing synchronization right there. And to further add to it, a recent study proved that synchronicity does really exist between menstrual and lunar cycles. The study involved 826 women between 16 and 25 years old with normal menstrual cycles. The result? 28.3% of participants menstruated during the new moon. Conversely, the rate of menstruation on other days was much lower, ranging between 8.5% and 12.6%. So, is this to say that the menstrual cycle and the moon can be linked? Well, as we already said, menstrual cycles roughly follow the same timeline, so it's natural to try to use the moon cycle to track menstruation or ovulation. However, this theory cannot be applied to everyone, and even the most regular cycle can vary occasionally. Number 4, new moon and darkness. During the new moon, the nights are dark as they are illuminated only by the natural light of stars and other celestial objects. Our naked eye cannot identify the moon's proper position because it blends in entirely with the darkness between the stars. During this time, the new moon controls our minds and emotions and makes us mimic its behavior. Like the absence of the sun's light reflecting off the new moon, our awareness becomes easily darkened and hidden from view, especially around emotional and primal matters. But luckily, the darkness is temporary. The new moon marks the beginning of a 27-day cycle of fast-moving lunar phases that swell to the radiance of the full phase before waning back to the darkness of another new moon. So don't freak out or get too irritable in the dark. After all, it will all be over soon enough. Number 3, new moon and violent behavior. The full moon has long been associated with strange or insane behavior, including suicide, sleepwalking, and violence. But is this also true for the new moon? Well, that's debatable. A report published by the U.S. Department of Justice titled Criminal Violence, Biological Correlates and Determinants notes that while they can't assert that the moon causes crime or madness, studies have certainly found correlations. The report describes an analysis of police records in select counties which studied cases of aggravated assault, homicide, suicide, traffic fatalities, and psychiatric emergency room visits in connection with the moon phases. And the results showed that all types of crime aligned with certain phases of the moon. For instance, homicides and aggravated assaults cluster around full moons, while psychiatric emergency room visits clustered around the first quarter moon. Hence, it is not unreasonable to believe that the new moon could also be linked to violent behavior. Number 2, new moon and healing. Tracking the moon is one of the oldest ways of keeping time. Celebrating the passing season with the moon can help us mentally and emotionally prepare for the weather ahead. Whether it's taking the time to rest and goal set on the new moon, or to gather in community, heal, and celebrate on the full moon, moon ceremonies help us stay in sync with our Earth Mother. Healing with the moon cycles also helps us make time to listen to our intuitive selves. It allows us to dive into the depths of what we need and let our inner wisdom speak to us. It is a time of harnessing and growing our feminine nature. And yes, whether you are male or female, we each have a feminine side. This is especially important in the times we are in, as honoring women in the world starts with honoring our inner feminine. Number 1, new moon and nature. Regardless of what spiritual tribe you identify with today, all of your ancestors, at some point in history, gathered around fires to mark the cycles of the moon and the passage of seasons. Each month in new moon rituals, people focus on a different theme to celebrate their connection to the lunar cycles, to the earth and each other through movement, song, personal sharing, and magical play. These rituals reconnect you to the cycles of the seasons, as well as the moon. One way to acknowledge that connection with Mother Earth is to begin by invoking the 4 elements, that is, inviting the elements of fire, water, earth, and air to join you in your new moon ritual. Acknowledging these 4 elements through the invocation in your new moon ritual is merely recognizing that importance and creating a symbolic connection to the natural world around you, which is something everyone yearns for. Well, that brings us to the end of our today's video. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more videos on astrology and much more. Check out this video, 9 surprising astrology predictions, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.